Stay with that.
Oh, come on, back up.
CPR in progress. Where's she bleeding from? Right here is the only one I see. Is she breathing? I have 8 breaths. She's gasping.
Wow. That audio, it just throws you right in, doesn't it? The gasping, the panic. That's the reality of the scene we're diving into today based on our sources.
It's absolutely gut-wrenching. It sets the stage for a really shocking true crime case. Welcome.
Yeah, we've been looking through the materials on this one. It focuses on the murder of a 16-year-old girl, Madison Wells. Just tragic.
And our mission here is to walk you through everything the sources tell us. We'll cover the discovery, the investigation, how it all unfolded, based strictly on the information we have. Ready to get into it.
I'll do it.
Okay, so it all kicks off with a 911 call. It's about 10:40 p.m., September 8th, 2018. The caller is Casey Wells, reporting her sister, Madison, has been stabbed.
Right, and when the Long Branch police arrive, the sources say, it's already chaos. Screaming outside, a father yelling, just immediate, intense family distress.
And inside, it's described as a nightmare. One of the first things they see, a bloody handprint on the wall. Just think about that visual for a second.
Ugh, yeah. Chilling.
Yeah.
Someone clearly struggling, reaching out, and right there they find Madison. Pool of blood, multiple stab wounds, she's struggling to breathe, her lips are turning blue.
EMTs jump in immediately, CPR, everything they can do. But the sources really emphasize how hard it was. She'd lost so much blood, they were struggling even to find a pulse right there on the scene.
Just a desperate, frantic effort. But sadly, despite everything, it wasn't enough. Madison passed away shortly after getting to the hospital.
And the family's reaction, you can only imagine. The sources quote her aunt, Tina, saying something like, "What are we supposed to do now? Just go home, go to sleep like nothing ever happened?" It just hits you. The shock and the unreality of it all.
So obviously, with Madison gone, this immediately becomes a murder investigation. Police know they need to move fast.
First step, talk to the 911 caller, Madison's aunt, Casey Wells. She was right there, saw those initial moments.
And her account is absolutely crucial. She tells them Madison had been out, but then she came stumbling back into the house. Maybe 9:30, 9:40 p.m.
And her first words, before she collapsed, Casey heard her say, "He stabbed me."
He stabbed me.
Yeah.
That narrows it down immediately, right?
Yeah.
And Casey, even in that moment, she has a suspicion. She thinks about Madison's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, she mentions their relationship had been, quote, weird. That she kind of sensed something, had a weird feeling from the gate about him. This ex is later identified as 20-year-old Brian Cordero Castro.
And while they're getting this information, investigators find something else vital at the scene.
The weapon.
Exactly. A knife. Described in the sources as long and stiff, found right there in the carport. Consistent with the terrible injuries Madison had.
Okay, so Brian Cordero Castro is now the prime suspect based on Casey's statement and feeling. Police need to find him.
They start digging into the relationship. Sources say they dated about a year, worked together at a restaurant, both got fired recently. Casey's boyfriend also confirmed the relationship was bad and that they'd just broken up.
To be sure, they show Casey a photo lineup, 6 pictures, and the sources say she identifies Brian instantly. Positive number 2 is him. I don't need to look any further. Solid ID.
So, armed with that, police go to Brian's house.
Is he there?
Nope, not there. Family says they don't know where he is. Police search the house, but according to the sources, nothing immediately ties him to the crime scene right then.
Okay, so he's vanished. What's next? Try his phone.
Exactly. They contact Verizon, Sprint, try to get a location ping. And nothing. Phone's off. That electronic trail just goes cold. Super frustrating for the investigators.
Right, they hit a wall there.
Yeah.
So no phone track. Where do they go next? This is where the sources mention a bit of luck, right?
It's a huge break, yeah. CCTV. They find security camera footage near the crime scene. One camera catches someone, a subject running across towards the ocean area, away from Madison's house, right around the time it happened.
Okay, so someone fled, but does it show who?
Not that first camera, but another one does.
Yeah.
This one's on Ocean Avenue, and the sources state it captures Brian specifically, at the exact moment Madison died. There's also other footage showing him walking towards her house earlier and later in a back area.
Wow, so the cameras place him coming, going, and fleeing right at the critical time? That's huge!
Absolutely massive. It points them towards a specific area where he might have gone, eventually leading them to his cousin's house.
And they find him there.
They do. Sources describe them knocking, the door opens, and boom! That's Brian, right there.
So they've got him, but they need to lock down the timeline, connect him physically.
Right. So immediately they start questioning about what he was wearing, those Nikes, Jordans, his shoes are muddy, and where he'd been, and his answers. According to the sources, they lined up perfectly with what they saw on that CCTV footage.
Okay, so they bring Brian into the Long Branch Police Department. Time for a formal interrogation.
But even before that really gets going, something pretty dramatic happens during booking.
Oh yeah, what's that?
As they're taking his stuff, his sneakers, he actually says goodbye to his shoes. And then he just bolts, tries to run right out of the booking area.
Seriously, he tried to escape?
Yeah, a sergeant stopped him. But I mean, talk about signaling guilt, right? Saying goodbye to your shoes and trying to run. The sources highlight this as a major red flag. He clearly knew he was in serious trouble.
Okay, so despite that, or maybe because of it, they proceed with the formal interrogation. Read him his rights, the whole thing.
And at first, he tries to stick to a story. Madison came by asking for money for her car. She was going to work. And conveniently, he claims he lost his phone.
But then comes the slip-up. The sources call it an accidental confession, almost.
Exactly. Before the detectives even explicitly say Madison is dead, Brian blurts out something like, "My friend, he told me. Angel told you about everything."
Angel. But there was no Angel, right?
Right. The police knew from the investigation there was no friend named Angel involved. This was information only someone who knew what happened to Madison could possess. He basically revealed he already knew she was dead. It's a game changer.
So the detectives, they seize on that. They use a technique, tell him Madison named him before she died. They lay out the evidence they have, tell him he's looking at decades in jail, trying to get him to tell the truth.
And it works. According to the sources, he confesses. Tells them the shocking truth.
And the motive, what did he say?
Pure jealousy and obsession. He said Madison promised she's going to be loyal to me, and he felt hurt that she wasn't. He admitted using the knife, mentioned she was on her phone just before it happened.
It's just awful. And the sources mentioned his initial reaction was quite chilling.
Yeah, apparently when asked how he felt, he said something like, "Everything what I did to her, you love it." Just a disturbing lack of remorse described there.
And there was more evidence backing this up, wasn't there, from her phone?
Oh, absolutely. They downloaded the data from Madison's phone. And get this, Brian had texted her hundreds of times that day, including about 230 texts in just the 9 hours after they broke up.
230 times, wow.
Yeah. The sources use words like obsessed, completely crazy. It paints a really clear picture of his mindset leading up to the attack. It's details like these that really underscore the tragedy, and exploring them is, a big part of what we try to do here on Dead Quiet Crime Podcast.
Exactly. We really try to understand all the facets, and if you find these kinds of in-depth looks valuable, definitely hit subscribe wherever you listen.
So with the confession, the CCTV, the phone data, the case against Brian Cordero Castro was solid. He was charged with first-degree murder, manslaughter, weapon possession, and that attempted escape.
And sentence.
30 years for the murder of Madison Wells.
Yeah.
Plus, an additional 5 years tacked on for the attempted escape, noted as showing he was a flight risk.
35 years. For the family, though. The sources make it clear, right? This isn't closure, not really.
No, not at all. They emphasize there's no happiness. How could there be? They just lost a loved one. The grief doesn't just disappear with a verdict.
And the impact on the community was huge, wasn't it? Just shockwaves.
Totally. It became this really stark example highlighted in the sources of just how dangerous obsessive and controlling behavior can be in a partnership. A terrifying wake-up call.
And the personal tragedy for Madison. The sources mentioned she was just getting into her life, figuring out who she wanted to be.
Yeah, just 16. Her friends, the community, everyone just felt it was so unfair. A life with so much potential just gone. Missed by so many.
So we've walked through it all based on the sources, that horrifying discovery, the quick investigation using witness accounts, and that crucial CCTV, the chilling confession driven by obsession, and the final legal outcome.
It really shows how dangerous obsession can become and how vital every piece of evidence from a person's words to digital footprints is in finding the truth.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how controlling behavior can escalate, sometimes so quickly, and how fragile life is, even when people are fighting desperately to save it like those first responders were. It's a stark reminder.
Definitely something to reflect on. The signs might be there, and the consequences can be just devastating.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. If you want to explore more cases and the details behind them, make sure you check out and subscribe to the Dead Quiet Crime Podcast YouTube channel as well. We'll see you next time.